Hello and welcome to Paleocrat Diaries. My name is Jeremiah Bannister. I'm one of the hosts of PaleoRadio along with Joe Elder. Paleocrat Diaries is a special feature of our program. It's where I get a little bit more personal, right? I talk about issues that have to do with politics, religion, and culture, and also stuff to do with just everyday life. I mean, it's indicative in the name. I mean, these are my diaries. But as much as I love writing, you know, sometimes I just need to talk. And honestly, I've needed to talk quite a bit recently. I guess there's really no other way of putting it. And I wanted to talk to you today specifically about something that I went through just this past week with my daughter Samantha and my wife Angela. For those of you who may only have first learned of PaleoRadio since we've joined up with Secular Media Group, my daughter, Samantha, she's 11 now, but right before turning 11, back in March of 2015, just a number of months ago, we brought her to the hospital thinking that she needed glasses. Originally, we brought her to an eye doctor, and the eye doctor couldn't figure it out, but she was having these headaches, and she eventually started vomiting. We weren't sure if it was a migraine. Come to find out, it's cancer. She was diagnosed shortly thereafter with a grade 3 anaplastic astrocytoma. Anaplastic astrocytomas are listed at the World Health Organization as a rare and deadly disease, and this is particularly deadly. Our life since March was completely turned upside down. You know, life with cancer is extremely hard. You're always living with the uncertainty of tests, always wondering, what is it going to tell us? What are her white blood cell count? Where is that today? Where are different counts in her body today? Will she need to be rushed back to the hospital? You know, the first time you ever see a brain tumor and you know it's your child's brain tumor, that's a thing. That's hard. You know, she went through a 17-hour brain surgery. There's nothing that can fully describe how hard that is. Even just as a parent, and I feel selfish saying this because I wasn't the one that went through it. I wasn't the 10-year-old that went through it. And yet, it was the scariest and longest day of my life and the life of my wife and anybody that we know, to be quite honest. The radiation and the chemo, the therapy, the constipation, the pain, the seizure-like episodes, the paralysis, the emotional and social impact of all of this, not only on her, but on our whole family. You know, my wife and I, we've been together almost 13 years. And we've had 4 children in that time together. And to see those children cry, I mean, they're watching as their oldest sister, the leader of their pack and of their tribe, is hurt. To see him cry. To see them tell me how badly they wish that cancer wasn't real, or that they could just fight cancer and make it go away. To see the way that my wife suffers. Some of the experiences that we've had over these last number of months, honestly, I will never be able to shake them. To see the terror and the dread and the despair in her eyes is something that will be with me for the rest of my life. Add to this petty things like my stomach issues. I guess it's not petty. They think I might have an ulcer. They're not entirely sure. It's dramatically changed my life and my diet and everything else. And my own personal demons. I mean, I'm bipolar. I'm a bipolar man with anxiety disorder. And here I am. I mean, on 2 occasions, and I'll be honest, on 2 occasions when I was at home, when she was still in the hospital and all this was really in the heat of things, there were a couple times where, and there's no shame in saying this, I called the veteran crisis line. I didn't know what to do. It was the middle of the night, and I literally felt like I was losing my mind. My chest hurt so bad from crying. I'm grateful that we have a service like that. And if you're a veteran, I'll just throw this in there as an aside, as a by the way. If you're a veteran listening to this program and you're going through something tough, don't think that you're too strong for that crisis line. They're valuable people. It's a valuable service. And it helped me through at least 2 really, really, really scary nights. But these things are hard. Even so, there are some things that are easy to deal with. Well, there's things that are easier to deal with. And one of those things happened to be recently. It was sad, but it was easier. And what it was this, is that Samantha, because of the placement of the tumor in the left side of her brain, down by her spinal cord, it caused paralysis, mild paralysis in different parts of her body. She has a limp. Her foot doesn't move as well. It moves. She can wiggle her toes now, which is awesome. But she couldn't at one point in time. Her arm, she has limited mobility. Very, very limited. And her wrist recently has had even less mobility than what it had before. And we found this out doing these things that we call bell ringers. Bell ringers are it's what we call an exercise where you stretch your arm outward and up, and then over to the side and up. And then when she gets to the top, I put my hand out about, maybe eye level to her. So she has to raise her arm pretty high so that her wrist will touch the bottom of my palm. And then she's supposed to bend that wrist and curl it up, and we call those bell ringers. But what we found was that when she was doing this, she could get her arm up to where it was eye level, but she wasn't able to move her wrist very much. That was a newer thing. And it could be for a number of different reasons. Maybe we haven't been working it out enough. Maybe we haven't been wearing the brace enough. But no matter what that reason is, that uncertain, possibly unknowable reason, she knew in that moment that at that time that she couldn't do something even small like that. And she started to cry. It hurt her heart. It wasn't quite a needle in the balloon. I mean, it's not like it popped hopes of everything, but it was a real deal. And she struggled, and she said, what if I can't use my wrist again for the rest of my life? What if I'm stuck with immobility in my wrist, even that small amount I had before, that I won't even have that? What do you tell a kid? What do you tell an 11-year-old kid? Where this kind of thing, it's not like a one-time bang where you bust your back and you can't move your legs. It's where there's an increasing degree of immobility. Sporadic. It's not even predictable necessarily. It's a scary place to be. I can imagine it easy to succumb to despair, hopelessness, defeat. So I was scrambling. This is my daughter, and this is an in-the-moment thing. So I'm scrambling in my mind with everything I can to try to find something that I can offer her to give her hope, to make her want to keep pushing forward no matter what. And I hearkened back to when I was 21. It took me that far. I had to go back a minute in my life. But I went back to this time when I lived in Mankato, Minnesota. One of my favorite places that I've ever lived, and I've lived in a number of different places. The people there, right? But when I lived in Mankato, I had a job working with a quadriplegic. His name was Mel. He's a pot-smoking quadriplegic hippie. He had this Volkswagen van that was spray painted. It was crazy. It had flowers and words on the side and peace symbols and everything else. And he had this really weird thing for Ayn Rand. He had all of Ayn Rand's books. It's actually how I learned first about Ayn Rand, and really about any form of libertarianism for that matter, specifically speaking. But I worked as his assistant, and so every day I helped him. I helped him with his cooking, with his cleaning, showering and bathroom and shopping. But we did all those things. But something that was an everyday occurrence was range in motion, where we went through literally almost all of his joints, anything that moved on his body, and we did range in motion. We worked with it. And I remember asking him one time about it. I thought he's not able to move. What is he doing? Is he just saying, I just don't want to go into atrophy? What exactly was he doing? And he told me, he said, you know what? I believe in science and medicine. He was a skeptic. In fact, he was the first atheist, I think, that I ever met face to face. But he was a strong believer in science and medicine, and it was his conviction that one day he might be able to walk again. He might be able to move his hands again. He might be able to move his fingers again, or to wiggle his toes again. And that he would want to make sure that every single day he was prepared and at the ready for that moment. But his accident, that happened, 20 years before that? He'd been doing this for over 2 decades, every single day without failure. And so I looked at my daughter and I said, listen, no matter what, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how hard it seems to be every single time, never, ever, ever give up. Don't give up on yourself. Believe in yourself. Fight tooth and nail for these freedoms that you have. Fight for them. Fight for your life. And no matter how hard things get, that we stand by one another, committed to that endeavor, that maybe, just maybe, there would be a day where those fingers would come back in full. Where that leg would come back in full. Where you'd be back on that skating rink floor. Where you'd be back in that cheering outfit. That you would do all those things that you have fought so hard and committed yourself for so long to do. To face those odds in the eyes and to say, you shall not beat me. You shall not overcome my will and my ambition. Never stop believing. We cried. And excuse me if I get emotional right now. Cancer's hard. Being a dad with this is really hard. But I'll tell you, when we were done crying, we thought about it and how this isn't just applying to people going through difficult times, but maybe just difficult times by degree. People go through different circumstances, different trials and tribulations, and yet the principle would remain the same. Don't give up on yourself. Don't stop believing in yourself. Don't stop hoping. And don't stop trusting in those around you, that they truly love and that they truly care, and that most importantly, that they are really there. That we would continue to fight for what we believe and what we are. And I think that's the lesson that I hope that you can take from this. Whatever lessons you can take from this, take them. Take them all and run. Honestly, nobody can prepare themselves for cancer or for any really difficult situation. So taking things like this in stride and saying, I'll put that in my pocket for the day. I found that to be maybe a wise thing, even if a little too late. But believe in yourself. Never give up on yourself. And know that if you ever need help, if you ever need someone to listen, the Team Tiny Dancer is here for you. And so is PaleoRadio. I want to thank everybody. Listen, I want to thank you so much for listening to Paleocrat Diaries. I want to thank you for listening to the hour-long shows of PaleoRadio. You can find that. We're on Spreaker. You can go to paleoradio.secularmediagroup.com, and you can even subscribe to our RSS feed so that every single time we post something, bada boom, bada bing, there it is, right on your phone. or on your computer. So make sure to check it all out. Thank you once again, and make sure to tune back in at paleoradio.secularmediagroup.com for another Paleocrat Diaries in the future. Once again, thank you. Have a great day, my friends.